Hey, how is everyone doing? Hopefully, you are good. We are bringing you a fantastic success story today from one of our amazing one-to-one players, Aaron. Aaron, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Ross. How are you?
Very good, thanks, mate. Very good. Now, we got you on because I think your story will resonate with a lot of people in what you've sort of been through before you came to us and everything you've gone through after it. We can hopefully help other people with it because we know so many so many players aren't having great information and great help. So we want to show them that if you are sort of staring down the barrel and feeling like there's nowhere to turn, then there always is. So let's start off, buddy. Just give yourself a bit of an introduction, then tell us the background and the issues you were having before you came to us.
I play my club cricket at Widnes Cricket Club, and my issue started in the 2022 season. So I'd wintered well, or I thought I'd wintered well. I thought I'd prepped well, and right at the start of the 2022 season, I think the third game, I started to feel the shooting pain on the left-hand side of my lower back every time I was landing. Front foot contact every time I was landing when I was bowling. Um, and I've never really had an injury before. I've never really experienced anything like it. So I went to my uni physio. So I would have been 20 at the time. I went to my uni physio, showed him the problem, um, and he gave me a few generic exercises to follow. Told me to miss a few games, so I was a bit gutted. I had to miss 2 or 3 Saturday cricket. And I think the problem with the injury is that when I was running, it was all right. I didn't really feel any pain. When I was fielding, when I was batting, I wasn't really feeling any pain then either. It was every time when I was just landing. Um, at the start, it was a little bit mild, so I thought I'd get through it. But it started to build up when I went to see my physio. So I've missed a few games, played in the second team as a batter, and then when I saw the physio again, he said, "Yeah, it's starting to look good again. You're not feeling any pain when you're running. You're not feeling any pain when you're batting. Maybe we can integrate some bowling back in again." And then when I played club cricket for my club at Widnes, again, I had the same issue. Whereas initially it was a little bit mild. As soon as I build up the overs again, I'd start feeling the pain. So the actual pain was due to my sacroiliac joint. Um, and that's where the pain was located when I was bowling. And then I trudged the season along, taking a few ibuprofens, not bowling in certain scenarios of the game where it wasn't really needed. And then when the semi-final of the cup came round, there I was again, running into the ball with pain every time I was landing.
Wow.
So I ended the 2022 season, and I realised I can't go through the same process of seeing the same physio again. I needed something specific. I needed something bowling specific. And that's when I got in contact with Cricket Strength.
Okay. So just talk, what did the physio actually do with you when you went to him, initially, and then after, that period of time when he said get back to bowling, what sort of things were they doing? What were they looking at?
So the first thing they'd always just crack my back, um, and it'd make a noise, and it'd say, "All right, so my sacroiliac joint is back in the right place again." And then it'd say, "I need to strengthen my core," um, which I was doing, and I'd done that throughout the um, pre-season of 2022 anyway. Um, and then they'd get me on the massage table, massage the area down. So it'd feel good when he was doing it. And then it'd just say, take time off, 2 weeks rest, and then slowly go into the next bowl 2 overs, go into the next bowl 4 overs, go into the next six, and then build it up that way. So this was a bit of an annoying process because I was missing weeks of cricket because obviously this was 3 weeks into the season at the time. So I was missing weeks of cricket, of bowling, and also every time I'd go back, it'd just be the same process again.
Yeah.
Fix your core, and we'll do this massage therapy on you. And every time I was bowling, I was having the same problem again.
But the,
They
the
gave me a core plan, a few hip flexor exercises, and that's it.
Jesus. So they weren't actually, it was almost like a hit and hope. drill. Like we'll just rest and see. Hopefully that helps. We'll do a little bit of massage. Hopefully that helps, but no
Yeah, and then
actual
and then
firm.
and then they told and then to waste a few more of my weeks. Once I said, oh, it's still not working. They told me to go and get a scan at the hospital and check for stress fracture because they thought that these exercises should be helping me. And if I'm still coming back with the same problem, I must have a stress fracture because all bowlers have stress fractures. When I went to the hospital, and that took another 2, 3 weeks, which were wasted. They said I had no stress fracture. My back's completely fine in terms of the bone structure. So
Yeah.
we knew it was a mechanical issue, but they still couldn't fix it.
Wow. So I mean, to be honest, the thought process with a bowler initially should be, okay, let's check for a stress fracture. Almost the first thing to then rule it out, especially if there's only pain when bowling. So you think that should be the first protocol, then actually give you a proper diagnosis rather than a manipulation and then a little bit of a rub. Everyone feels better after a rub, but it's not really fixing anything. And then off you go. And so you were just basically in the same cycle and it was getting worse.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. That's what was happening, and it was starting to get a bit frustrating. I was starting to think, well, this is not working, and you sometimes you think for the worst and think, oh, I may not be able to bowl properly again.
And that is the trouble. And that's the trouble with these people. Well, not bad people, but when you're just given generic stuff, you're then dealing with people in your almost not livelihoods, but the thing you love the most is playing cricket. You're almost putting in their heads, do I have to stop this just because of poor treatment? Which shouldn't be out there. It just should not be out there. So what made you contact us then?
Um, well, I got a lot of different advice at the end of the season. Once the season was down, I think everyone knew that I was having this problem. I've got a bit of different advice from different people. All of them all wanted the best for me, 100%. But I just think there's just a lack of knowledge um, within the environment, particularly when it comes to injuries. So some people advise me to go to a chiropractor. Some said do a bit of yoga, and I didn't really know what to do, to be honest. I'd obviously followed your account for a while, and I thought I think it was time. I originally started following your account for trying to build up pace with the pace lab principle, stuff like that. I was always intrigued to learn about. But then I also saw you're quite good with injury, and because it was cricket specific, that's what made me come to you and realize you've helped others in the past, and that's what the help that I really needed with was um, overcoming my sacroiliac joint pain.
Yeah, because I think I remember we had a poll about back injuries, and you put down that you were struggling with it. And we'd spoke before, and I messaged you saying, "Mate, talk to me. What's going on?" So it's almost that thing of for other people, if you have got something, reach out. Reach out. We talk to everyone who gets in touch with us. So if we hadn't actually spoken, actually got on with it, you could still be in that same cycle now.
Yeah, I think I'd done a program with you before as well, which was your lockdown, your workout
Yeah,
from home lockdown one
yeah,
that was a 30-day plan which I followed, and that was before the 2021 season. Um, and then so obviously I'd come in contact with you with before as well. Um, and then when I picked up my injury, I was like, right, okay, I need to do something proper about this, and I can't just, you know, I can't have more weeks of my cricket wasted.
exactly, exactly. So what were your initial thoughts on how we went about everything?
Yeah, I really liked it because originally we did some tests, didn't we? And we looked at the different angles of the hips, the legs, core strength, thoracic mobility as well, just to get a bit initial idea of where I was at. And I think for my first, so I started in mid-November, and up until January, I remember it was very like foundational strength work. So eccentric lower body stuff. A lot of core work was in there as well, um, and mobility, thoracic mobility as well. I did a lot of that as well. Um, and initially, I thought, oh, this could be a little bit tedious. You, as a bowler, you want to be bowling, you want to be, you want to be doing stuff like that. But I knew I couldn't. So I remember the first phase of the plan was really trying to build up some foundational strength so that I was a little bit more fit enough to bowl, let's say.
Yeah, yeah, it is because I remember we had a lot of dialogue in that time because you do have to almost say, this isn't going to feel a lot of fun, but we need to clear the debris out, and that's what we do to start. Make sure if the body is moving and functioning well, then we have got that foundation to build from. Then we know also if something else happens, we've got a clear road to run it from. So yeah, we got into it, and I remember just after January we had a chat, and you were like, "Yeah, I feel good here. This is this is
Yeah, yeah.
happening."
Functionally, I felt a lot better. And some of the exercises that I hadn't seen before, but sometimes you just got to trust in the process. And I think that's what it was. And then after January, we moved into some mediball stuff. So again, for me, it was really important getting that transition.
Yeah,
We couldn't go from first gear to fifth gear straight away. There's smoother transition. So I think after January, we did some mediball stuff. Um, and that worked quite nicely. Every month there'd be a checkup whether I was feeling pain or not. Obviously, I had your WhatsApp as well, so I was keeping in contact with what I was doing. So once I finished, once we started incorporating the mediball stuff, I think maybe about March time we started doing a little bit more sprinting. So I had plyometrics in there, sprinting. I remember for a week I had a little bit of pain, very mild niggle again, and we took it back again. We took it a couple of weeks back, and then once that started to fade away again, we went back into sprinting plyometrics just before the start of the season. I was nervous at the start of the season because obviously we'd only done a little bit of back to bowling because of where my back was. So I remember being quite nervous bowling my first ball in the season, but um, luckily, I played the whole season injury free, and I didn't feel the pain once
yeah.
in my 2023 season. Yeah.
And that was the thing as well. It was because we weren't bowling, as in just running in and bowling at a batter. It was helping to sort of put your mind at rest. It's okay. We're doing everything we to build up. And I always talk about the 10 steps from rehab. Most people go a naught injury, 3 sort of physio and pain free, to 9 and 10 bowling in the net and bowling in the game. And we're missing out all that big period. So for you, it was that process of right, every stage we're ticking off. So then when we did have a little setback, we knew where it was. So we could just focus on that, get that right, and build up. So once you were ready for the season, I knew you were ready because we'd literally bulletproofed the body to make sure it was ready.
Yeah, yeah. I think my little niggle happened when it was very high impact. So obviously when I was doing the mediball stuff, when I was doing some light a bit of bone, that was all right. When it was really high impact, that's when I had the slight niggle. But we made that adjustment pretty quickly,
Yeah,
and within 2 weeks that was gone itself as well. So then when I was bowling in April. Um, I wasn't feeling any pain every time I was running into the ball, which was a bit, uh, a big relief for me.
yeah. And it was, and that's the beauty of it as well. Whereas some people give out PDFs, go and do that for a month. If something happens then within that month and you can't change it, then you're struggling. Which with us, we know. Well, you can get on the phone, say, "Tuesday, I've got this, got this." We get on a call, we get it right, we get it changed, we get it updated, and so then we get through, and then into the season. So then just talk about the season then, bud.
Yeah, so um, I will start off with the 2022 season. I was at a stage where I was limping into bowl. I was hardly running in. I was I was only trying to bowl with arm speed. That's it. And then when the 2023 season started, um, I was running. I felt my back could hold me much better. Before I was limited. I was trying to limit my spells to maybe 4 or 5 hours in the spell. All of a sudden, I was bowling 7, 8, 9, 10 in some games as well. Um, and that was all to do with the overload. We managed the overload quite well. I started the season off quite well. And then in the middle, I had a little period where I wasn't picking up wickets. Obviously, I hadn't done much bowling in the winter, which I spoke to you about, Jules, and you were just saying it's part of the process. Always reminding me, look at where we've come from. And then second half of the season, I was raring to go again. After that chat, so I think that's what's quite special about the plan as well. It's not just always the technical side. Um, or the gym side of things. It's always you can speak to usually mentally about your games as well. I know every week I was put into a group chat with Alfie as well, who'd asked me how my Saturday went as well. So I could discuss my thoughts and my feelings as well.
Yeah,
I think that was quite beneficial. And then yeah, finished 2023, especially the second half of the season, with a few more wickets under my belt.
brilliant. In what it felt to me like was the first half of the season was almost like you were holding your breath. You know, you're back to bowling and you're thinking, oh my God, is something going to go wrong? Is the pain going to come back just because of what you've been through in 2022? But once you'd had that first couple of months and had a little bit of a period at wickets, then you were like, no, actually, the body's fine here. I'm feeling great. So now I can concentrate on bowling, which is when everything moved.
Yeah, all of a sudden, second half of the season, I could concentrate more on the technical stuff. But, um, I'm a bit of a badger. I really enjoyed that side of things. But I felt as though it was a little bit neglected, but it had to be because I had to get my back in the right order, and it was a learning curve for me as well. How to cope with different injuries at the time and how to prioritize different aspects of the game.
Yeah,
Cricket's a weird game. There's so many different aspects and there's so many different things you have to think about. So that was definitely a learning curve for me,
brilliant.
especially because it was my first real injury that I suffered from.
Yeah, and it's tough, mate, because you struggle to get out of that mindset. Of, Jesus, is this going to hurt again? It's hard. But how are you feeling now? What's life like now with your cricket?
Yeah, life's good. At the moment, a bit sad not playing on Saturdays anymore. Maybe a long winter ahead. I'm looking forward to January on um, our winter nets start, our club winter nets. At the moment, I'm mainly focusing on trying to improve my sprinting a little bit more. Another thing that I wanted to work on was my aerobic side of aerobic capacity as well.
Yeah,
Because again, I didn't do much running over the winter last year with regards to my back. So that's another thing that I want to build up into my game again. Um, and yeah, and I think before maybe 2, 3 years ago, I was one of them gym bros who just followed generic gym plan and hoped they would translate to bowling. But I think now the difference is now that I've got the knowledge, I can be a lot more specific with my training now.
brilliant.
And that's what how I'm gonna move forward.
But also for me, the important thing is, do you feel like apart from your own stuff, you've learned around the subject as well? Warm up, cool down, all the other things in the webinar.
Yeah, that's
Really
another
well.
massive thing because as soon as I joined the one-to-one plan, you helped me with the nutrition, so the nutrition side of things as well. I sent Juicy what my diet plan looked like. We made a few adjustments. Um, or maybe I wasn't having the right sort of breakfast before the start of the game. These little 1%ers, they all matter. I think the biggest benefit from the whole plan has been the soft tissue work, which has been massive. The recovery protocols, being able to do my soft tissue, whether it be the hip pain program or the shoulder pain program. I think that they've been definitely game changers for me. Just because after I'm doing my workouts, it's really important to recover well before you can go again. And I didn't really understand how, players can do an intense session and then 1 or 2 days later follow it up again. But I think that's when the recovery side of it comes into it. And I learned a lot about that as well. I think there's, you've got some videos on stuff about how to get back to bowling from indoor to outdoor, which I had a look at, which I'll be implementing again for the 2024 season. Just getting your body acclimatized to going outside again. I think there's important games that can easily be ignored, and there's obviously not much about it as well. So I'm glad I learned that aspect of the game as well.
Awesome, buddy. Awesome. And last question from me is a little bit of a different one. So take us back to just before we got on that call, where we got you on the plan. Just before that, how much money would I have to pay you for you not to get on that call, not to be on the plan, and not to have the results you've had?
How much money you'd have to pay me?
Yeah, to stay away from it. So you wouldn't get had the program, you wouldn't have recovered, you wouldn't be able to play, you're still in the same cycle. How much money would that cost?
Jeez, I just told you I'm a badger. I'd do anything to play again. You'd have to pay me loads of money.
Oh, love it. Love it.
You'd have to pay me absolutely shed load of money because I love playing. Yeah, it was I was quite annoyed because I'd missed a fair few weeks. You also feel and because obviously it's a team sport, you also feel like you're letting your team down by not being able to play, and you're feeling injured. In the 2022 season, we only had two frontline seamers. We went with a spin-dominated attack, and then when I got injured, we were really fudging a seamer, really, um, going into games with one seamer. He actually suffered with an injury that year as well because his overload was greater as well, because I wasn't playing as well. So it's quite hard when you feel responsible for your team as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's been the biggest change for me. The fact that I could go out and bowl again. I think it's a real success story. Yeah.
Amazing, buddy. Amazing.